Hi everyone, welcome to Forbes Flash. Thanks for joining us, let's get started. And stick around because later on we'll have Forbes' Denise Kam discussing Dick's Sporting Goods and their decision not to sell assault-style guns in the wake of the Parkland shooting. Jay-Z has had quite the year. Along with expanding his family and real estate holdings across the country, he also solidified the title of the richest rapper on the planet. The artist landed the #1 spot on our richest in hip-hop list for the first time ever. His rise to the top over the past year is due in part to ownership stakes in his Roc Nation empire and Tidal streaming service. Dropping down to the second spot in the Forbes 5 is Diddy with an $825 million fortune. Third goes to Dr. Dre with $770 million fortune. Not only are Jay-Z, Diddy, and Dre the wealthiest hip-hop acts on the planet, they're also the richest American musicians of any genre. Here's a few stories you might have missed this past week. You can't go very far without hearing about blockchain these days, especially if you're at all interested in cryptocurrencies. Well, companies are announcing blockchain initiatives left and right, so if you're interested in getting a job in the space, you're in luck. A recently released list of which cities in the US have the most opportunities put New York City at the top. It's followed by San Francisco and Boston. Speaking of technology, research done at MIT may have discovered a concerning problem with artificial intelligence facial recognition systems. When Joy Bulamwini was conducting research on how computers recognize people's faces, she noticed that systems didn't work for her face, despite working successfully for her lighter-skinned friends. A study she then conducted of AI-powered facial recognition systems of Microsoft, IBM, and more discovered that the systems were successful when discerning between white faces, especially of men, but there were 34% more errors with dark-skinned females than light-skinned males. It's an important conversation starter as artificial intelligence becomes integrated into society over time. The biggest night in Hollywood is coming up this weekend, so we took a look at the numbers behind the scenes. I'm of course talking about the 90th Academy Awards, which air Sunday night on ABC. The telecast is a pricey one to be a part of. The estimated cost of a 30-second commercial comes in at $2.6 million. The most nominated film is The Shape of Water, with 13 nods. Another superlative, the most nominations for any individual performer is 21, by none other than Meryl Streep. She's up for a Best Actress award this year for her role in The Post. And the cost of the whole thing, estimated to be around $44 million. Stay tuned to coverage by Forbes Showbiz leading up to and during the ceremony on Sunday. Hope Hicks, one of President Trump's longest-serving advisors, announced Wednesday that she'll resign as White House Communications Director. The 29-year-old landed on our 2017 30 Under 30 list in the Law and Policy category, as she was the then press secretary for Trump's campaign. In a questionnaire completed at the time, we asked Hicks when she decided what she wanted to do for a living. Still deciding, she responded. Now, the country is watching to see what she'll do next. Music streaming service Spotify filed for an initial public offering this week, targeting $1 billion. Europe's largest startup will trade on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker SPOT. The music platform has 159 million monthly active users, which is estimated to be almost double the scale of its closest competitor, Apple Music. Joining us now is Forbes' Denise Kam to talk about how one of the nation's biggest sporting good retailers is responding to the school shooting that left 17 people dead 2 weeks ago.
On Wednesday, the CEO of Dick's Sporting Goods, Edward Stack, announced on live TV that his company will stop selling assault-type weapons. And this decision actually comes 2 weeks after a 19-year-old shooter killed 17 people at a high school in Parkland, Florida. And it was a very emotional interview, and what he said that his company doesn't want to be a part of the story. And the story is this: the company found out that in November, the shooter walked into one of their stores and bought a gun, which was actually not the type that was used in the shooting. And when the company and the CEO found out that this person was able to do that and the laws allowed that, the company decided to take a step because politicians, as Edward Stack said, are not taking any action. So he said that while politicians in DC are not doing anything about this, he will step up and make sure that his company doesn't sell any assault-type weapons. And the interesting part is this: after the Sandy Hook shooting in late 2012, the company actually temporarily stopped selling these guns, but then it started a new branch called Field and Stream, and they started selling these guns again. So while the Dick's Sporting Goods doesn't sell these guns, a branch of them actually sells these guns. And now Edward Stack says that they will not be available in any of its stores, including Dick's Sporting Goods and also Field and Stream. And he said that this is a decision that they will not take a step back from, and he knows that this will make some people very upset, but he said that this was the right decision to make. Dick's Sporting Goods is not the first company to have stopped selling these types of guns. Back in 2015, Walmart also said that they would stop selling AR-15 guns. Walmart also said that it will stop selling guns to people who are under the age of 21, which was a decision that was also made by Dick's Sporting Goods. So basically, the company's decision was to stop selling assault-type guns, and also stop selling high-capacity magazines, and also stop selling guns to people under the age of 21, even though the state laws would allow people to buy guns under that age. So Edward Stack's father founded the company, the store, back in 1948. And then in 1984, Edward Stack took over, and at the time, the store was not as big. And right now, there are more than 675 stores all around the country. And its 2016 revenue was over $7.9 billion. Edward Stack joined the Forbes billionaires ranks in 2013 with a $1.1 billion net worth valuation. And this was 11 years after he took the company public. And essentially, since then, his net worth actually went up and hit a maximum of $1.5 billion. But actually, this year, he fell from our ranks, and we now value his net worth at $880 million. Back in August 2017, Dick's Sporting Goods announced its second quarter results, and the results were below the expectation. And they looked at the reason, and they found out that reasons were lower hunting sales and gun sales. I actually asked the company whether that affected their decision. They haven't responded yet. But after the results were shared with the public, the stock plunged by 23%. And in the past 12 months, the stock actually decreased, the stock price decreased by 35%. So since the shooting, there's also been a major pushback on social media. A lot of people have been saying that companies who have deals with the NRA or who have been selling guns, they will boycott these companies. On Wednesday, when Dick's and Walmart made that decision, a lot of people on social media actually showed their support, and there were also people who were against that decision or who said that they were actually not even going to Dick's to buy guns in the first place. While politicians in DC are not responding to a major call towards gun control, it is important that companies like that actually take some action, and they maybe will be able to force politicians to actually change the law or actually sit down and talk on how to approach gun control.
Thanks for joining us. Tweet your feedback using #ForbesFlash, and we'll see you next week. Tune in every Friday morning, same time, same place.